Hey, good morning, Dan. It's Wednesday morning, I think, although it's hard to keep track of days. I am climbing what I think is either the Dimril Stair or the stairs that lead up to Shelob's lair. I'm not sure which. Here, let me flip it around and show you. So this goes up to Toompea. That's Toompea, which is this tableland. It's about 450 meters long, 250 meters wide, limestone that rises about 20 to 30 meters around all the surrounding country. And this is where the original castle was built back in the 9th century, which I think was taken over by the Danes, which was then taken over by let's see, some group of, like the Brotherhood of the Arms or something, from one of the Pope's crusading armies. And then it was taken over by the Danes again, then the Swedes, then the Russians, etc., etc. So this is where the original fort was, for obvious reasons. And then the lower town, which is where we're staying, which is still part of Vanillin, which means Old Town. I have no idea where this is going to go. Oof, dog. Anyway, that's the Baltic is out there somewhere. Anyway, this is where the original seat of power was, and actually where Estonia's parliament building is. And every morning at dawn they raise a flag above the castle to represent that they are there. And of course at sundown they take it down. So it's yeah, it's interesting. You know, I was talking a little bit yesterday about not being able to break into the people here, and for me that's more interesting than the place. And yesterday I went into a place that has a coffee roaster, a little 5 kilo Probat. Mine is a 10 kilo. Probat's a German make. Anyway, and I was able to start a conversation with this lady named Kaya. And I'm going to go in this morning at 11 or at 10 and watch her roast. And we actually had a conversation. She smiled, she shook my hand, she met Colleen. I mean, it was kind of a nice change. So still climbing these stairs. But honestly, that was the first Estonian I've talked to who's actually had more than one or two words. And I think that even though they all speak English, they are not inclined to. It's a tourist town, and all that means, which means they put up with them because they give them money. But that's about it, the extent of putting up with them. So it's another snowy day here. You can see the Estonian flag up there. Oh, here we are. So we are staying right over by that church in the distance. Of course, which church, right? Yeah. And you can just see the Baltic and the cruise lines down there, past that crane. That's where we'll pick up the ferry for Finland on Saturday. And that's just general. So anyway, it's yeah, like I said, I've had a tough time breaking into the people, and I think I told you about the 2 cops I approached who were thoroughly unimpressed with me. But even with you know, even the small shopkeepers, some of them literally will just look at you, and maybe it's just because they don't speak English. If I spoke Estonian, it might be different. In fact, I'm sure it would be. But they just, you know, they don't want to interact. They don't want you to say, "Hi, how are you? Let me touch you on the shoulder." Yeah, none of that. So they're very much Nordic in that respect, meaning they'll. The joke goes, you know, how do you know when you've met a gregarious Finn? Because they look at your shoes when they talk to you, and that goes for Estonians as well. So anyway, I'm gonna go wander around. Again, this is up Toompea. That's the name of this hill. The interesting thing about this is there's a saga called Kalevipig, and Kalev is the saga hero of Estonia, and the folklore is he's buried here on Toompea. And actually this tableland is actually a tumulus constructed by his wife Linda after his death, and she constructed it by hand, stacking up these boulders over his grave. And often this area, Toompea, will be referred to as Lindanise, which means Linda's tit. So remember that every time you think of your sister. But I did find that saga. Unfortunately, I only found it in Russian. They don't have it in English, and I already have it in Estonian at home. So I think I'll wrap this up because my fingers are going numb, and I'm going to go wander around Toompea and see what there is to see, and then get down to that cafe this morning at 10 and go roast coffee with Kaya. So, my friend, I will, from snowy Estonia, from snowy Tallinn, from snowy Vanillin, from snowy Lindanise, on top of Linda's tit, I bid you adieu.